What is up, YouTube family? Thank you guys for tuning back into Wilburn Reactions. It has been a while once again. Details, you guys know, you've been over here a while. You guys follow other reaction channels. How it is crazy relentless over here when it comes to the music reactions. They are getting stricter and stricter. So that is why I've been missing. I know a lot of you guys have been writing me, and I came back and had that spurt for a while and was doing them. But literally, I would say like, I almost finished the Metallica album, and then I was doing Kate Bush, and then I had swung some other reactions in there. So let's say out of those 20, maybe like 15 of those were like demonetized immediately. So it's like, it's crazy. It's an uphill battle, always a battle. But there was something I wanted to dive into that that came up, and it came up not too long ago when I was kind of on my Elvis spurt, and then I told you guys I had watched the Elvis movie, and I became a big fan of Elvis, as you guys who've been following me for a long time, as I got to know him more outside of his music as a person, and then discovering him in his movie that they did on him, and it showed more about him and his personality outside of music and what he battled, what he went through, and stuff like that. So there's been this video floating around that you guys probably have seen, and it's Elvis, basically like other artists like talking about him and stuff like that, and I haven't checked it out yet. I just know a little bit about it, so I thought it'd be cool to check it out on the channel. So we're diving into some Elvis, a documentary basically. I wouldn't say documentary, but info on him, and just learning more about him, like I said. So I wanted to see what this is all about. Hope you guys enjoy it, but let's see.
I thought he was a very beautiful, and still is, a very beautiful person, and his memory shall probably forever live on.
Well, you ain't never gonna rabbit. You ain't no friend of mine.
There is no room in this city for the vulgar performances of Elvis Presley.
It's shocking. I watched him gyrate his legs and swivel his hips. And our parent-teachers group feels he should not be on television.
We've set up a 20-man committee to do away with this vulgar, animalistic, nigger rock and roll bop. Our committee will check with the restaurant owners and the cafes to see what Presley records is on their machines, and then ask them to do away with them.
Oh my gosh. So I know they touched on this a little bit in the movie, about like, of course, his dancing. I know that was a big part of like why they didn't want Elvis to be who he was, because his dancing was considered vulgar and outrageous. But to hear what just came out of his mouth, that is crazy. And now I wonder, like, with him having such a huge following coming from the background he came from and being around blacks, I wonder, is that why they felt the way they felt? Like, thinking he learned his dance moves from blacks, and well, he did technically, and he ran with the black community back then. So I wonder, was that a huge part of why the hatred was really there? Like, was it really because, oh, his dance moves were vulgar, or is it because who he socialized with and who he was with a lot? As that really played the bigger part than just his dance moves?
You've learned anything from the criticism level, did you?
No, I haven't.
You haven't, huh?
Because I don't feel that I'm doing anything wrong.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog. The crying all time.
Rock and roll has got to go. And go it does at KWK. We're all through playing rock and roll records. This week is record-breaking week here at KWK. And after this week, no more rock and roll will be played on the air.
The obscenity and vulgarity of the rock and roll music is obviously a means by which the white man and his children can be driven to the level with the nigger. It is obviously nigger music.
Everybody mostly turned him down. And because first thing, he had Negroes' ways. This is what they didn't, really at that time, they didn't want to accept.
By black performers, and he, in essence, because of at that particular time, the kind of backwards mental capability that many people had, as judging a person because of the color of their skin, as somewhat still does exist. But back then it was worse, and he actually, because of him being a Caucasian brother, he was able to do away with that whole thing.
He's 77-year-old Early Wright, a disc jockey at radio station WROX in Clarksdale for 45 years.
Hi there. Pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How do you do? This is your soul man to be with you until I get through. I want you to stand by, don't have no fear. Following Jay's show, should I play one like this one from out of here? Elvis Presley.
Elvis's songs still get good play on Wright's program among the blues, gospel, and jazz recordings that are its staples. It was almost 40 years ago when Elvis drove down to Clarksdale from Memphis with a record and asked him to play it.
And I had been playing his record, and I had never seen him before, and I was amazed to see him. When he introduced himself to being Elvis Presley, then I went all to pieces over him. Then he and I started talking. I used to be the manager of a gospel group called the Four-Star Quartet, and I could listen to a man sing a hymn. I could listen to a man sometime talk. I did that. And I could pick him out whether he could fit in my group. And talking to Elvis Presley, I could see a great future in him.
It's no accident that Wright recognized Elvis's strong gospel roots. Here at the East Trigg Baptist Church in Memphis, older members of the congregation remember Elvis joining in with the choir while in high school. These were roused.
See, this is more information that wasn't stated in the movie either. You know, I do know they showed a little bit, for those who've seen the movie. I don't want to spoil too much if you haven't. I mean, it's been a while if you haven't seen it. But they did touch on him, like, kind of like when I remember that beginning scene showing him, I forgot who was singing. It was like a blues singer. He was kind of peeping through there. And then there was like a church right down the road on the movie. And then he went in there. And of course, you know, that's when he heard some, you know, church singing and stuff like that. But they didn't mention, at least I don't recall, of them saying that he joined the choir. That is crazy. I really didn't know that. That is crazy.
Closing sessions led by the charismatic pastor, the Reverend W. Herbert Brewster.
Like most black people in the South, and to whose throat God has pressed down a harp of 1,000 strings, it only needed tuning. Elvis's voice was that type of voice that agreed with the thought of Calvary. He had that kind of bent and inclination and attitude that suggested that God could use him. I gave the music a different approach, a new beat. I knew that it wasn't going to hurt if I said, "Must Jesus bear the cross alone," whether I've said with one beat, two beat, whether I've said it high or low. And I told them, "Come on in here and put your stuff together." They came in here, and it was a glorious experience, and Elvis was in that group.
Elvis came out with a style of his own, and it was very creative. And once he got into it, and you got that feel, Elvis just took off like a late freight. And with Elvis doing this kind of music, gave an injection to black music that no other artist had ever done.
So it's crazy. Like I told you guys, I want to share something with you that's different. It never happened in my household, but like around other, you know, I would say blacks. I would say until I got informed on Elvis myself, as I got like with you guys and putting me on the Elvis. And like I said, I've known about Elvis, like his name and stuff like that coming up, but like knowing his backstory and knowing things like that. But I didn't understand like the take on certain, like, you know, blacks that would say like Elvis stole his style from the black community, you know, or he took it and ran with it. And I think that's just a narrative a lot of people are running with, because as I'm seeing here, there's a bunch of artists who coming forward are saying like, oh, you know, Elvis, you know, looked up to us, or we were friends with him, close, dear friends, and he had a style. And then you heard Stevie Wonder say like he was able to get away with what, you know, a lot of black artists weren't able to get away with back then. So I wonder if that's why some people took it as, oh, he stole a style and ran with it because he was able to get away with it. No, he learned, and I know a lot of artists in the movie, they pushed him out because they told him he was able to do it and we can't. So you're able to get our style, our what you learned from out better than we can. So that's what I'm saying. There's like two sides. And I like that, because the artists, I feel I respect the artists who did do that, like Stevie Wonder and whoever he was around at that time, and who said, yeah, you run with this style and you take it out there and give it to the world and let the people hear this style you have. But I think what I would say, I would call the people who were against that, basically hating. Like, you're hating on his style and saying he stole something when he didn't. He had his own unique style. Like, there's no other Elvis. He had his own personality, his own everything. So that's where I'm like, where did that come from? You know, where did that I would call lie come from? Saying like, oh yeah, he stole it and ran with it. Stealing is taking somebody's song and recreating it, or having the same melody, or doing something. I don't see anybody else dancing like Elvis. I don't see anybody else sounding like Elvis. He had his own unique thing. He might have got influenced, but I don't technically think the saying of saying, oh, you stole something should be the terminology used in this situation.
It was like an earthquake in my neighborhood. The whole place was shaking when he came on. And I said, how did a person possess that kind of power? That it even comes off the TV and grabbed me in this ghetto neighborhood.
Elvis took my Tutti Frutti, and I was very disgusted. But by him singing it, he really made it bigger and made me bigger.
During those days, if it was a white artist doing something, they would just say, they don't like our blacks and we don't like them either. He's nothing but a copycat. But Elvis Presley, when he came on, chicks were screaming and going crazy, and it was just like any other neighborhood. And I said, this guy's got something going, man.
Elvis had something that made him sound like he truly meant it, and that's what made a lot of people like myself like him.
I think Elvis had lots of soul. He appealed to black people. He definitely had to have soul in order to do that.
I think there's ever been an artist that when his name went on the marquee, they knew he was coming. People came from all over the world. I never heard of that.
Elvis did a lot of stuff that, rappers do these days.
He had the bling. You gotta have the bling when you're from Memphis.
He had the bling, he had a Cadillac, he had like a gangster in it. As the snow flies on a cold and gray Chicago morning, a poor little baby child is born in the ghetto.
The song also resonates with people who've only met Elvis through his songs.
Elvis talking about the hood. They talking about where we come from.
Paul Beauregard and Jordan Houston are the Oscar-winning rap duo 3-6 Mafia. They grew up just 2 blocks from Graceland in one of Memphis's poorest neighborhoods.
I want a CD scratcher.
My mom used to always listen to this song when I was young. He talked about, things that she went through. She had my mom had a bunch of kids, like 9 kids. You know what I'm saying? That's how you get somebody to listen to your song. You talk about what they know about and what they want to hear. And she know about the ghetto, because, she lived in the ghetto.
In the ghetto.
That's it.
And his mama cries. But if there's one thing that she don't need, it's another hungry mouth to feed in the ghetto.
After we find the part on the record that we want to use, we sample it into the drum machine or the keyboard. That way we can loop it like.
My first line says, first I'm broke, so I hang out with the rat and roach. It's still broke, so I'm sleeping on apartment floors. So it's just like the struggle, what's going on in the hood. First I'm broke, so I hang out with the rat and roach. It's still broke, so I'm sleeping on apartment floors. And I was off beat, but it's all good, because it's on TV. Maybe do some edits.
That's crazy. I never knew this about them. I never really been a big 3-6 Mafia fan. I was more like on Wu-Tang side. 3-6 Mafia had a few songs that like the hitters, like their number one, like that went like, popular songs I would say I knew more about, but like listening to an album of theirs never really appealed to me. But it's cool to see. I never knew. Now I want to go look it up because I never knew they sampled, this song from Elvis. I never knew anybody even sampled that song from Elvis. But that's really unique because that's one of the songs I reacted to on the channel that really stuck out to me. And I told you being able to hear that like I grew up in the ghetto, but I didn't come from like a broken home or anything like that. Like I didn't have like all that, but kind of like similarities in that song, hearing like in the ghetto, like I do know that experience, being brought up. But like I said, that's cool to know that, like I say, it's the living on, like people who never met Elvis, as they say, like you see 3-6 Mafia, but and people like me or people out there in the world, you hear his music, like about him through his music, which is really cool. Which is like my saying on the channel is like keeping the legends alive, like letting their legacy live on. This is an example of his music still living on through other artists, which is really cool.
Make me look cool, maybe put my name in the credits.
Once we have all that ready, we load it into the drum machine and then pay out.
So he starts to roam the streets at night, and he learns how to steal and he learns how to fight in the ghetto.
Survival is an everyday task. Watching your back for the man wearing the mask. I say you might get stuck.
ghost. And still broke, cause I'm sleeping on apartment floors. The junkies get up, kick when they smoke a brick. I never seen a drug dealer ever call it quits. The hood struggle is to make you gotta get the change. See, every day is like a dark cloud full of rain. The feds tapping for it's dangerous when you hood trapping. So don't get lost in the sauce slinging, cold crackling.
That's so mind blowing. That is crazy. Like I said, I would think, I always say, like, when it comes to samples or even doing a cover of somebody who's such an icon, and then this song is so popular and such a great song, when it comes to sampling, I think they look at that, they think of the original, and you got that crowd will probably say, like, you should have never messed with it, leave it alone, that's his. Or you got that crowd like, oh, that's cool, they transform it. And I would say, for me, I think because they related to it, this song, and then they resampled it. I mean, it's different, it's unique, but like I said, my biggest thing is, like, he's living on through these artists, and that's really cool. Like, he influenced, like, the hip hop culture too. You know, it's really cool to see that.
So help your brother along the way, no matter where he starts. For the same God that made you made him too. These men with broken hearts.
During the 60s and early 70s, when tensions between blacks and whites were at an all-time high, Elvis demonstrated his desire for racial reconciliation in the musicians that he chose and the treatment they received.
When we first decided to take the gig with Elvis, we had no idea that there would be any racial flack regarding it. Our first racial encounter was when we went to Texas. Elvis was told by his people that, well, you can leave the black girls home. You don't have to bring them. So Elvis wasn't going to do the Astrodome unless his girls could be with him. And he demanded that we be given the star treatment. We had to be in our convertible where everybody could see us, and our little blonde could drive us.
That was so crazy, because I was just gonna ask on this. Is there, like, I was just thinking about this, like, are there any people that were, like, in his group that are still, like, living today that, you know, or to hear their take on, like, singing with Elvis and being a part of his journey? Like, that has to be, I mean, amazing. I mean, that's just mind blowing to be able to sit up here, like, calmly, like, yeah, you know, I was a part of Elvis, like, being up there singing with him and be able to tell your story is amazing.
And that was his statement. You don't like it? Deal with it, or I'm not going to be there. And I thought that was very big of him.
When I joined the group in 1972, they took a big chance because there were no blacks in contemporary or Southern gospel music, and I was the first one, and it made all the headlines and everything. It was in Billboard and all the newspapers in Tennessee. And my first time meeting Elvis he had a folder full of clippings of things that he had read about me. As a matter of fact, the Imperials brought me to his suite, and he gave me this folder with all the clippings, and he personally welcomed me into the family. And for a guy who, you know, didn't really know where he stood, this was very important that he acknowledged my presence and, you know, made me feel very much a part of what we were all doing. And right away, he treated me like he'd known me for years. He gave me one of those TCB chains and everything, and I was just one of the guys, and I never forgot that.
And I'd been around him with other people of color, and I've only seen him give love. He was very generous to people that he didn't even know. You didn't have to be of any racial persuasion for him to love you.
And you know, you know how rumors get started when there's a big star or something. The people will start rumors. Well, he doesn't like this kind of people, or he doesn't like those people or that people. And I never got that from him.
But, you know, that's crazy. I'm glad that's the topic I was talking about. You know, it's people saying, like, he stole. That's rumors. You know, and it's good to hear this. I'm actually glad I got to see this documentary. You know, I'm not done, but I'm actually glad I got to watch it, because it's given me a whole new perspective. Like, I've already had a good feeling about Elvis, and like I said, learning more about him through his movie, other stuff I've seen, songs and stuff like that. I already had this like good image, and it makes me think back to some of the songs I reacted to Elvis, because I got some of those comments in my comment section on some of his songs that were like, "Oh, Elvis was this guy. He was a drug addict. Oh, I can't believe you're giving him this praise, blah, blah, blah." And it's like, wow, now I understand kind of like what he battled back then, because it's still people today that have this image of him that feels like this negativity towards him from somebody who was trying to put so much love out there in the world, and so much just love. That's all he was about. And for somebody to give love and you can give hate back, that just means you're an evil, wicked person yourself, because he's just trying to love the world and bring love and joy and peace to the world, and there's still wickedness that follows him. That is mind blowing to think somebody can be as lovely as he was, still have rumors brought up about him, and still be talked about like he was just this horrible human being when he was a loving individual.
Elvis is a whole nother thing. It's just, I think it's scary to even be compared to people in that, like, you know what I mean? Because he's such a big talent, and in his absence, of course he's bigger than in his presence. And music marks time, so in this time period, what Elvis was to his period would be something totally different. Well, I think rock and roll, I mean, what he brought to Vegas is more than rock and roll. I mean, I think there's so much going on out here on the entertainment front. Like right now, you'll see the likes of Celine Dion and Tony Braxton. It's a lot going out here. You know what I mean? As far as rock and roll is concerned, it's great. I mean, Elvis Presley was able to do things that haven't been able to be duplicated to this day.
Black American music influenced Elvis. The fact that people say, well, he's the king of it all, king of rock and roll, is a slap in the face to those that made the music possible in the first place. Not to say he wasn't brilliant. I think he was a fantastic, talented singer.
I don't think he ripped them off. I think once something has been exposed, anyone can add or take from it if they
Thank
like.
you. I agree.
He was just so
I agree
great, so
100%.
popular, so hot, so anything that he played, it became a hit. To me, they didn't make a mistake when they called him the king.
No.
The only thing I want to know, was he my friend? Did I enjoy him as a performer? Did he give the world of entertainment something? Yes, on all counts. And that's the name of that tune.
He was a bundle of energy set to music. And that echo will never die.
Ever. This is beautiful to see. I'm actually glad you guys brought this up. Well, someone sent it and told me about this. It's amazing, and I'm gonna branch off of what he said when they said, "Oh, you know, did he steal?" BB said it. No, you can't say steal unless you're using something somebody has already created, and you took, like, let's say somebody created a song and it didn't go mainstream, and then you create it and you heard it, like, oh man, this is good, but you're famous and you make it, and now this song becomes popular, and that artist comes up and say, "Hi, I made this song. He stole it from me." That's stealing. The thing is, like he said it, this sound was created already. He just got it. And now he has this style in him. He has this unique style about him and turns it into something magnificent. That's like me being a drummer. I can be a drummer, right? And I can go watch other drummers. And we all do the same drum cover. I can do something brilliantly better than say 10 drummers did this drum cover, and I'm the 11th drummer to do it. And I do something totally different from them, but I did the same drum cover and mine's blow up over them. Am I stealing it? No, I just made it better than what they did. And that's what Elvis did. That's not stealing. If he just created something that he heard, he had a passion for, and he made it amazing. It's simple as that. So I'm glad to see this. I'm glad to see the artists, the people come forward and defend his honor, and the people who was against him. And like I said, at first, when I kind of came in, when I first reacted to Elvis, I came in with that mindset, like what I was brainwashed from hearing people say, like, oh, Elvis, you know, was this drug addict, this and that. And I remember people correcting me saying, like, he wasn't that, you know, you got to just hear what he was about. And like I said, when I seen the doctor putting all this stuff in him, his manager putting all these fluids and medication in his body to get him to perform like a puppet and to entertain the people, and he went out there every single time and gave his very best. That's what killed Elvis. Elvis didn't die behind, he was killed trying to spread love in the world and keep it going without, I think, worried about himself, worried about his health, worried about who he was. I think he was so caught up in the moment of putting love in the world and trying to create this, make everybody come together as one and love each other, that he forgot about himself, you know, and that's my thing. But this was a beautiful documentary. I loved it. I'm glad I finally got to watch it. It's been brought to my attention so many times. I'm like, man, I need to watch it, and I'm glad I finally got around to it. My question to you guys, now after doing this documentary, I got some directions I want to go in with this channel. Like I said, I told you guys about doing albums and stuff like that. I'm just gonna stick to song reactions, and if you guys want me to do like documentaries and stuff like that, if you got some out there that you guys want me to react to, let me know, send them to me, send me the links, we can do stuff like that. But I want to keep this channel alive. I don't want this channel to die down and die off. But this was cool to watch, and amazing. But let me know what you guys thought about it. Write me in my social media, email, whatever you guys want to send. But this is amazing. I hope you guys are having an amazing week. 4th of July is almost here. I will be uploading still, but for the 4th, be safe, enjoy your families, and just have a wonderful day, guys. I love every single one of you. Hope you all are doing great. Check in with me. If you haven't spoke to you in a while, please check in. Let me know how you guys are doing down in the comment section below. I will see you guys in my next video.